What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 40 of the Diego Colley Football Show. And we made it. This is the Super Bowl preview and prediction. And wow, we're here, Super Bowl week. It's kind of a surreal feeling. It's a surreal feeling to, one, not only be in the Super Bowl where the team's at, to end this season that no one really thought we would get here, especially in the national level. And two, this is the last episode of the regular season I get of previewing a normal type of episodes of this podcast. The first year I've done this podcast. So previewing my first Super Bowl, excited to do that. And yeah, let's just get into it. So the Super Bowl, this is the Seattle Seahawks 16-3 overall versus the New England Patriots 17-3 overall. Obviously play the extra game, the wild card round. Rematch of Super Bowl 49. Let's get into some news, and then we'll talk some Super Bowl narratives before we get in the real game preview. So, a few pieces of news. Last week it breaks that the Seahawks are going to go up for sale after the season ends, directly after. A bunch of weird reports, but mainly, I just didn't really love the timing of this at all. And I'm just going to be quick on it because I want to get to the Super Bowl. It seems like the NFL is kind of pressuring the Seahawks to sell because all the other owners want this market to inflate, whether if they want to sell the team, however that wants to work. But I think it's stupid. Obviously, Paul Allen had the thing in his clause after he would die, Julie Allen would take over and she would have to sell the team eventually. But there was no timetable on it. I think the fact that if they're being forced to, I think it's dumb because she's done a great job and you can't ask for a better owner situation. So I just hope that all plays out correctly. And I wouldn't be mad if Jody kept the team for a little bit longer if she can do that. So I'll skip over that. Clint Kubiak seems like he's going to be the Las Vegas Raiders head coach. He seems to have accepted the job fully. John Schneider pretty much alluded to the fact that he's going to take the job. And good for him. He's walking into a situation where the number one overall pick, probably going to be Fernando Mendoza. He's really impressed people around the league. I don't think he's a guy that going into this season teams looked at and were like, yeah, this guy is going to be a potential head coaching candidate. And that just goes to show the type of job that he did coaching this offense and coaching this team and kind of the effect he had on Darnold, the way he used JSM, a lot of factors there. Happy for him. But it did, those two storylines, which is the reason I wanted to highlight him, cast a bit of a weird, not shadow over the start of Super Bowl week, but it definitely kicked up some questions that were going to be asked. Going in, I saw multiple people saying, like, there's no real headlines going into this game. There's not any huge hotheads on the Seahawks. There's not any huge storylines to dig into, obviously, besides the Super Bowl 49 rematch factor. And these things definitely were important. And people saying, is this going to affect Clint Kubiak's game plan? I don't think so. I think he's fine. He's professional. I think the most important thing to him is obviously you're going to go be a head coach. That's kind of the pinnacle of coaching in the sport. But what's the pinnacle of the entire sport of football? Winning the Super Bowl. He is all in on the Super Bowl run. And I don't think there should be any doubts put onto whether this is going to distract him from game planning. It was a Saturday before. Obviously, you wish it could have been done like kind of out of the way and not during the week, but it was kind of an off week. It was before they traveled over. I think it's okay. Also, I think it's honestly maybe a little bit of a better thing that he just was hired rather than all the spectacle being like in questions to him, like which job are you going to take, the Raiders or the Cardinals? Seemingly, he's going to take the Raiders job. So I think it's honestly a little bit better that that's the question of, oh, are you going to the Raiders rather than where are you going to go? And kind of just the chatter of that, more questions behind the scenes. So done with those. Super Bowl headlines. It's been an interesting week. I'm kind of over it. And is that a weird thing to say? Is that, I don't know if I'd call it entitlement because I think every team wants their team to be in the Super Bowl. I'm over this media stuff. I preferred it a lot more when it was the people that were talking about the Seahawks that knew what they were talking about and have watched the team play multiple games. And I haven't just watched this recent playoff run or haven't just looked at the stats from early in the season. These just national reporters, the Ryan Clarks of the world, the Emmanuel Acchos of the world, are just ridiculous to listen to, quite honestly. It's hard to listen to. It's painful at times because these are guys that just, how many times can you hear the narrative that, oh, Sam Darnold's going to blow up in the big game? And Patriots fans too. And they're arrogant. They're entitled fans over there in New England. But they just spewing out these nonsensical takes is really annoying to look at, because if you engage it, when you engage with them online and respond with the ethical response, or just say, like, give them some simple facts, they just resort to, oh, you should have ran the ball on the 1 yard line, or, oh, Darnold's going to blow up in the big moment. Can we talk about this for a second? He is continuously, these last few weeks, he hasn't turned the ball over all playoffs. He's played good football ever since that last Rams game. I mean, the Carolina game, he had a bad interception. This first San Francisco game in week 18, I wouldn't put that really on him, like the lack of offensive output. I think there's some bad decisions there, but he didn't turn the ball over. Played a great game against the Rams. Played an elite game against the Niners, but he didn't really have to do much. He's battling the oblique injury. It's a lazy narrative, and it's one that so many people are using. The talking heads on ESPN. I'm picking the Patriots because I trust them in a big game. I don't trust Sam Darnold in the big game. Well, Drake May's never really been in a big game. This playoff run, they haven't necessarily lit the world on fire on the offensive side at all. I mean, I believe he's been sacked 15 times in the last 3 games. That's one narrative I'm tired of. Another one is this whole Super Bowl 49 thing. I mean, it's kind of, Mike McDonald's always been a great guy of just sticking to the basics. And I listen to every Mike McDonald press conference, but it's almost gotten to a point this week where I couldn't even watch like over half of the National Media Day one, or the one when the opening night when anyone could go in there and ask questions, because it's asking him questions to him and Darnold, questions like, if you guys get to the one, are you going to run the football? Like, what is he supposed to say? Yeah or no? And McDonald answered it perfectly today, I thought. He said, hey, I'm kind of over this question. That I'm not going to like knock on that team's legacy. That team made it to 2 Super Bowls in a row, the pinnacle of the sport. They had a chance to repeat. He's not going to be like, yeah, we're definitely going to run. Like, that's just a stupid thing to say. And the constant questions, it's like, is it supposed to be a joke? Like, it's obviously like a running joke, but I just think it's ridiculous. It's just like it's making a big storyline out of this game for a team that has none of the same players. The only thing that's the same is the executive of the team, John Schneider. McDonald wasn't there. He wasn't like at the game. It doesn't have a emotional impact on him. John is probably the only guy in that organization, I mean, obviously besides staff that's been there the whole time, that has any sort of emotional connection to that game. And that's the right way. It's the way it should be. So those constant questions it's just lazy, and it's boring, and it's like that and the Darnold stuff. It's like, I can't even watch a game. Someone preview the game with me. Well, what if Sam Darnold does this? Well, it's like, have you watched the game? Drake May's turned the ball over at a higher rate than Sam Darnold in the playoffs, and I believe towards more like the back end of the season as well. He is not taking care of the ball at an insanely good level. Like, and another thing, these New England fans, like, another thing, obviously, if you're a Patriots fan, the Seahawks weren't on national TV much this year. You didn't watch many of the Seahawks games. And same can be said for Seahawks fans. The Patriots were not a nationally covered team. No one really expected them to be there. Towards the end of the season, they kind of came on late. I mean, just looking at this, I know they had that primetime Baltimore game. The Buffalo game when they came back was a big one. Early in the season, they beat Buffalo as well. Or the Buffalo loss was one when they lost, and they kind of blew a lead. Early in the season when they beat Buffalo, it was Sunday Night Football, but it was kind of like, is this a fluke? And the schedule talk, it's like they have the easiest schedule in the league. So I'm not going to like fault someone for saying something without having watched the team a lot during the season. But constantly, it's just these takes about, oh, Darnold isn't going to have to. It's just all the Darnold stuff. And it's Patriots fans saying, I've seen multiple say that, oh, well, Drake has played 3 of the best defenses in the entire league this whole playoffs. And I've seen people say that the Chargers defense is better than the Seahawks. That's just a ridiculous thing to say. If you want to say the Texans, the Broncos, okay, I guess. But to act like because he's struggled against those teams, the Seahawks defense is not as good as those teams, and he's going to have much more success against them, is just an insanely stupid thing to say. It's just ridiculous. I can't stand the coverage on this game anymore. Like, I am just itching for Sunday at 3:30, because the only thing is going to silence these guys up, silence the Dave Portnoy's of the world, silence the entitled Boston sports fans, is the game. Quite frankly, you're not going to be able to talk anyone out of the Patriots are the better franchise and the better coaches. Like, I love Barstool guys. I love like all the work they do. Like, I like Dave Portnoy, but every single time I see a clip of him this week, it's just an instant scroll because like, no, you can't give him any sort of fact that's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to respect the Seahawks a little more. And there is a massive portion of those New England fans that are not giving any respect. And they're saying, oh, Mike Vrabel is going to outcoach Mike Macdonald. I think it's just I'm ready for the game to happen. And I think the same can be said for a lot of people. So what are we kind of getting past that topic? These two teams, like I said, the Patriots had one of the easiest schedules in all of football this year. They had two early losses to Vegas and Pittsburgh. They rattled off a bunch of straight wins. They went up 21-0 on Buffalo. They ended up losing the game 35-31. And then they beat Baltimore, a big game on the road. And in the playoffs, it's been a weird script. It's been a very, very weird script. They beat the Chargers 16-3 in a game their defense dominated. They played one of the worst offensive lines in all of football, really. Maybe. I mean, definitely in the league, I'd say, this entire year. They sacked over 6 times, and the offense struggled. I mean, Drake May threw an interception. He fumbled once, fumbled twice, only lost one. Just kind of sloppiness. They ran the ball well. Ramondre had 53 yards on the ground. Drake May 10 carries for 66 yards. A sloppy win, okay. Drake May's first playoff game. The next one, Houston. An absolute disaster of a game. CJ Stroud practically hands it to him, throws 4 interceptions in the first half. They lose another fumble. They have 5 turnovers, but Drake May throws an interception, fumbles 4 times and loses 2. Okay, you're going to Denver. And the narrative that's emerged about this Denver game is another thing that has just really got on my nerves. Oh, Drake May only played bad because the weather was bad. The weather didn't kick up. It wasn't a blizzard until over halfway through the third quarter. And Drake May threw for 86 yards in the entire game. Yes, the Broncos have a good defense, but this wasn't a sort of thing where it was a blizzard, a historic blizzard the entire football game, and there was no way to throw the football. Honestly, I think there's a world where the weather doesn't turn to shit and it stays clear the entire time, and the Broncos win that game because Stidham gives them their only touchdown. I mean, he pitches it back to him. It should have been a fumble 6. The Patriots can do anything the entire first half at all, and they have a nice drive to start the second half. They get a field goal there, but I think there's a real conversation that they might not win that game. I mean, and Pat Surtain says the Seahawks are going to win 35-7. So another thing here is you got the entitled Patriots fans. You have the people saying that, oh, Darnold can't win the Super Bowl. But the consensus of opinion from people that I'd say know what they're talking about is that the Seahawks are going to win this game. And people are picking them to win handedly, which I can't say I necessarily disagree with. And we'll get to my prediction later, but I was reading ESPN's article. I believe 35 out of 50 picked the Seahawks to win the game. Someone picked them to win by 20. That was the largest margin, which on paper, the Seahawks are the better football team. The Seahawks have proven, I think, that they were the best team in football all season long. But the Patriots are just scrappy. And that's the thing about this team. And that's the thing about a Mike Vrabel-led coaching team. They're not going to roll over. I don't think they're not going to get blown out. That's what keeps getting me in this game. So when I look at this game, I'm looking position by position, who has advantages on what side of the ball, what position groups. And there's a majority of spots where I'm like, yeah, I like the Seahawks there. Just thinking about the defensive side of the ball. I like the Seahawks corners against the Patriots receivers. Kayshon Boutte and Matt Collins have each been kind of deep ball threats, and the Patriots have had one of the best deep threatening offenses this entire season long. But Stephon Diggs he's been good. I mean, it's almost 1,000 yards, I believe, but he's had games where he disappears. And if you look at these cornerbacks, Witherspoon, Joe, Woolen, even Warrior guarding guys on the slot, this isn't Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Another lazy narrative, why it kicks up in my head, is people saying, oh, Matthew Stafford, he was one MVP candidate. He shredded the Seahawks. He threw for almost 350 yards in the last 2 games, and they were unstoppable. What is Drake May going to do? And he's the other guy that should have won the MVP. No, that's just not how that works. One, Puka Nacua is one of the top 2 receivers in football, him and JSN, I'd say 1A and 1B respectfully. 2, Matthew Stafford is better than Drake May. And Drake May have put up the stats. He had a great season, yes. And they pushed the ball down the field at an effective rate. He's not making some of the throws that Matthew Stafford made. Not at all. Matthew Stafford made some otherworldly throws in that NFC Championship game. Throws where it has to be in this one spot or it's going to be picked, it's going to be incomplete. He did it all day long, except on third downs. Except on those big and third and fourth downs. And he also had Sean McVay, one of the best offensive coaches in the entire league, calling the game. And yes, the Patriots have Josh McDaniels, a guy that's coached in many Super Bowls, a guy that's been there before, experienced, all the accolades, but he's not Sean McVay. He's a great mind, he's a great offensive coordinator, but Sean McVay is one of the best offensive minds in football. So looking at the cornerback to receiver position, I like the Seahawks. Looking at the linebackers, the front 7, the defensive line, I think a massive thing that can kind of break this game is the Seahawks D-line. Now, yes, they don't have an elite pass rusher. They don't necessarily have that go get a sack guy. But the Patriots offensive line has struggled in playing these consistently good defenses these last few weeks. Drake May has been beat up, and that's what's led to some of these forced fumbles. I mean, like I said, in the Chargers game, he gets sacked 5 times. In this Texans game, he gets sacked 5 times. In the Denver game, he gets sacked 5 times. 15 sacks. And 11 of those, of the 15, have come rushing 4, which fits right into what the Seahawks want to do. Mike McDonald does not want to, not that he doesn't want to, but the way he runs his defense, he's not going to consistently all-out blitz. He's not going to bring 7. He's not going to bring 6 at a consistent basis because he doesn't need to. He's going to disguise his pressures. He's going to bring a DB, and he's going to drop back a defensive lineman. But they can find success getting home rushing 4. And they can attack Will Campbell. Will Campbell, who was a top 5 pick, highly touted tackle out of LSU. The talk of him coming out of college was he has short arms. And he's had a rough last few weeks. I mean, I'm going to check out his PFF grades right now. He has not had the end of the season that Patriots fans want to see at this time. He graded out as a 50 in the Denver game. Houston game at a 45. 16 in the pass blocking department. He had a penalty last week. He isn't playing obviously, I'm not saying he's going to be a bust, but right now he's not playing his best football. Not at all. Ernest Jones, I think, him and Drake Thomas can be massive in this game. I think getting to May, just looking at, what's their center? Garrett Bradbury, he grades out at 60 all season long. Their left guard, Jarrett Wilson, grades out at 52 all season long. He is also a rookie, so this is 2 rookies on the left side of the line. Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams can blow up this game. They can. And if that is as much of a disruption as it has been for the Patriots in the last few weeks, I think they're in real trouble. One spot that I do think kind of not favors them, but a matchup I think they can attack is Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry, I think, it's hard to call him their most dangerous weapon, but he's a guy that the Seahawks struggle guarding tight ends. They always have been. It's not necessarily a McDonald thing. Maybe it's just kind of a narrative I see in my head that every time I see it, them going up with the tight end, he seems to have success. Drake May loves going to Hunter Henry. Let me check out his season-long stats. I'd say he's one of his favorite targets. He has, in the playoffs, he has 10 receptions for 81 yards, only 1 touchdown. They only thrown for 533 yards all playoffs in 3 games. It hasn't been the explosive offense that it was in the regular season. If you look at the regular season, Hunter Henry was their second leading receiver, had 800 receiving yards. Diggs had 1,000. He has 60 receptions from the tight end spot. Diggs had 85. 7 touchdowns, the most touchdowns in the entire team. So especially in the red zone, that's the guy you have to look to on those play action when he's rolling out to the right side. He's trying to find the guy in the back of the end zone. Big target back there. Hunter Henry is a guy that I'm not saying I'm worried he's going to break the game, but on those big conversions, on those big downs, he's a guy that they're going to go to. On the running back side of the ball, I'm expecting to see a lot of Ramondre Stevenson back there. Travion Henderson he is graded out as one of the most poor pass blocking running backs in the entire NFL. And that has led to him not really being on the field the last few weeks. That last game in Denver, he barely played. Let me pull up his snap count. But he did not play very much. I believe he only had a few carries. And that's simply because Also, it was snowing. I think they want to go with a more reliable guy, Ramondre Stevenson. He had 4 snaps. The game before he had 25. Chargers game he had 26. I don't really expect to see him much. I mean, I expect to see him maybe early downs, throw a screen to him, give him the ball early, try to have that big play breakout threat. But I think it's going to be a heavy dose of Ramondre. When Trayvon's in, you're going to expect him getting the football. I don't think you're going to expect a lot of times when Drake May's dropping back 2-minute drill, Trayvon Henderson's in the game, because that's going to lead to issues when the Seahawks have these sim pressures. So the Seahawks are trying to bring heat, and he has to pick someone up. That gets Drake May hit. So I expect to see a lot of Ramondre Stevenson in this game. Another thing with the quarterback, I think this is the main X factor for the New England Patriots and the Seahawks defense, is Drake May's legs. And you're going to hear it a lot this week. Drake May is kind of touted as a comparable to Josh Allen. Like the announcers will say it. Collinsworth will say it on Sunday. This guy was compared to Josh Allen coming out of UNC. I don't think he's quite Josh Allen, but it's a running threat that the Seahawks haven't seen from the quarterback position all year. And I've heard people make the Purdy comparisons. Well, they boxed up Brock Purdy very well, and he wasn't able to run in for so many of those yards behind the line of scrimmage. But with respect to Brock, Drake is a better athlete, and he's faster. And when Brock's running, he's kind of more looking to run to get that first down, to get those 5 yards, slide down. Drake can run. If Drake breaks past the defensive line and can, I don't know, wherever the linebacker is, if he gets through the linebacking core, he can run for 30, 40 yards. Like, it takes him a little bit to get up to speed, but when this guy gets moving, I mean, he's hard to bring down, and he's hard to bring down in the pocket. I mean, he's a big guy. I'm not sure exactly how tall he is, but he is, I mean, in the playoffs, he's ran for 141 yards in 3 games. He's averaging 6 yards a carry with a long of 37. That's their longest run in the playoffs by far. 1 rushing touchdown. He's averaging 50 yards a game on the ground. That is not something to be taken lightly at all. This isn't just a little scramble for a first down type guy. He can kill you with his legs, and they need to bring him to the ground. Quite honestly, this has been a situation where, I mean, in the Matthew Stafford game, they have struggled to hit these guys when they play them, or struggled to sack them. Stafford, they sacked 1 time all season long, and it was in that last game. They played him 3 times. Thinking of that 4th and 1, when Stafford steps up to run, DeMarcus Lawrence has him, and he breaks out of the sack. You have to if you hit this guy in the backfield, you have to bring him down, because if he is able to break out of a sack and break the contain because you whiff on the sack attempt, he can make you pay, and he can run for a huge gain or a huge first down. And especially in the red zone, I think his legs are going to be a big factor. I mean, we saw it last week. They called that quarterback draw for him to score the touchdown. If they can't go to Ramondre, or the Seahawks are stuffing the run as they do so well, I expect them to have Drake May's legs be a factor. So he has to be, that has to be kind of the main thing you're thinking about every play. I mean, especially in the postseason, he's shown that he's going to run when he has to. Like, this isn't the regular season, he ran for 450 yards. In the postseason, he's ran for 150 in 3 games. He's doing what he has to do on the ground. And I think that is a huge factor for the Seahawks defense. And rushing 4, I think, is a big component of it, because they're not going to have to blitz, and that should therefore not leave these big running lanes for him. But when they do, and when they have a chance to hit him, whether they're manning up or they're bringing people off the edge, you cannot let him break through that line of scrimmage and run for these massive gains. So, to the Seahawks offensive side of the ball, what's everyone going to say is, how is Sam Darnold going to play? Like I said, it's what you've heard every single week. But quite frankly, the Seahawks have, and which is just kind of the stupid thing that, like, when people are talking about it, the Patriots have a solid defense. And whenever people talk about the Seahawks kind of the way that they would lose the game, it's not because, Christian Gonzalez is going to make a play. It's because, Sam Darnold's going to throw a pick, which I think is just dumb. But the 2 guys that are going to be circled every single play, if you're the Seattle Seahawks for Sam Darnold, are Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. These guys can wreck the game, quite frankly. Like, that is the defensive line, and the corners and safeties can wreck the game. And that's the only way I see the Patriots winning this football game. That's their path to victory, because I don't think that the Patriots can score more than 20 points on offense. And maybe that's being a little generous. Like, I don't see a lot of ways for them to score points in this game. But if they can force a turnover, and if these 2 defensive linemen can blow up the game, that's when it causes problems because the Seahawks have ran the ball. Their offense is arguably peaking. This is their peak right now. They peaked last week. This is the best that their offense is playing football right now. Clint Kubiak called the best game of his career last week, the best game of the Seahawks' entire season. So, yes, of his career, was in the biggest spot. Can he do it again? And the reason they've had so much success recently is because of their success on the ground. Kenneth Walker has been playing some of the best football of his entire life right now. And it's due to the run game. It's due to the offensive lineman. It's also due to him. But if these two interior defensive linemen can blow up the run, that's when I think that the Patriots can have success because the Seahawks have been able to play complementary football, as Matt McDonald loves to say. He loves the complementary football line because of their ability to run the football. I mean, last week, just thinking about it, K9 only ran for 60 yards. It wasn't necessarily like the first drive, he had a few big runs, but he didn't break off for 100 like he had in weeks before. But they were able to do it when they needed to. And he was big in the receiving game. They had a lot of these quick passes. So it's not like they got the run game shut down. The play action was still a huge threat. JSN moving around the backfield was a huge threat. If the Patriots are able to shut down the run game like they did in this Broncos game, RJ Harvey was 13 carries for 37 yards. And that's a killer. In this Houston game, Woody Marks, 14 carries for 17 yards. Nick Chubb, 4 for 14. In the Chargers game, with the horrible offensive line on the Chargers side of the ball, Tamani Badal, 11 carries for 31 yards. They have a path to victory if they can shut out the Seahawks run game and force them to be predictable, kind of as they got into that rut in the middle of the season. I don't really know if I'd call it a rut on the offense side of the ball, because obviously they continue to win games. But when the Seahawks struggled on offense in the middle of the season, it was because that was when the teams figured out their pass game. They figured out they were going to continue to take deep shots with reckless abandon. And when they were turning the ball over at an alarming rate, because they were just taking shots every play, because they weren't able to run the football. They put up 20 points on the Jaguars. That's when they put up 19 on the Rams. The Titans game, they put up 30. The Vikings game, they put up 26, but it wasn't necessarily an offensive explosion. The Atlanta game, the first half, it's 6-6. The Colts game, it's 18-16. And then they kind of figured out in the Rams game, 38-37. But even the Carolina game, it wasn't the most beautiful offense. Charbonnet had a great day on the ground that day. But all those games leading up before that was when the run game was struggling. And it was late in the season. It's like, are we ever going to see a competent run game from the Seahawks? And they've figured it out. So their main thing here is holding on to that run game. Because what the defensive linemen allow them to do is they'll blow up the run game, they'll rush Sam, and that's when these turnovers happen. In the Carolina game, it's when he kind of forced it. But recently, which is why I think the narrative's so stupid, is can he win a big football game? He just beat the Rams in the NFC Championship game to advance the Super Bowl, a game that his star-studded defense struggled, and they almost lost the game because of it, because their defense couldn't get a stop, and they got the stop when they needed to, but there was a long stretch of that game where the Rams were doing whatever they wanted to, and Sam Darnold constantly got the ball back and went down to score and willed his team to victory. He was the reason they won that game. But getting to that, in the receiving game, Christian Gonzalez. It's been a big thing on Twitter. It's who's going to win the Christian Gonzalez versus JSN matchup. And the thing that I think will determine it is if the Seahawks offensive line can block, because the Patriots DBs are very aggressive. They take their shots, they force a lot of turnovers, and that's due to the defensive line being impactful and causing a ruckus in the backfield, which leads to people forcing throws, kind of throwing up those 50-50 balls, not being able to see things develop, throwing things early, throwing things late, however it is, putting the ball up in the air in a harmful spot. That's when the Patriots have success. I don't think that Gonzalez can guard JSN. I don't think anyone can guard JSN. But Marcus Jones is a twitchy guy out of the slot. He can break on the ball as fast as anyone. Carlton Davis is a guy that takes a lot of risks, but when they pay off, he forces the turnovers. I mean, just looking at their turnover chart for the playoffs, let's check it on the defensive side of the ball. They have Craig Woods in the safety has an interception. Christian Gonzalez had the game-clinching interception last week. Carlton Davis has 2 interceptions. Marcus Jones has 1 interception. That's practically everyone in the secondary having an interception in the playoffs. These guys have good ball skills, which is why I think Jason's going to be kind of I can see him taking the top off, but they're going to need other guys to contribute here. This is going to need to be, I could see this being a big AJ Barner day. I think that the big body in the middle of the field, exploiting whether it's a linebacker or a smaller safety on him, he can be the reliable target for Sam in the middle of the field, because I think that a guy like Kupp, they have the athletes to guard him. If they're breaking on his moves, he's not necessarily going to be guys going to beat you over the top with the deep ball. And are they going to have time to take a shot with the deep ball? I think they're going to have chances to be there, which is why I think that the protection of the offensive line, if they can take a play action and set up a deep shot, I think they're going to have the steps to be there. But if Sam can step up, step into the throw, deliver the pass, that's going to be the question. I think the attempts, the opportunities are going to be there for a big play to set the tone, whether it's early in the game, whether it's late, whether it's a big pressure down on a 3rd and short, and they're taking a shot deep to kind of silence the crowd, silence the Patriots. I think that can be there, but the line has to hold up. And I think that that's why it's one of those things that it's so, that's the thing that could win the Patriots the game. I don't think the Patriots win a shootout at all. I think it's their defensive line game-wrecking the game, pressuring Sam, who you have to mention, it's not like you can't say it's always a pressure thing, because last week, or not, the NFC Championship, 2 of those touchdowns, there's a dude in his face, and he puts the ball in a perfect spot, leaves enough air into the ball, perfect spot to Bobo, perfect spot to Jason, while he's about to get hit to score and lead them to winning that football game. So that's kind of how I see the offensive side of the ball. I think it starts with running the football. If they shut down the run, that I think that kind of leads to more of the lower scoring barn burner that Patriots fans want, and kind of the only path to a Patriots victory. On the special team side, this is a good special team. This is not the Niners. This is not the Rams, especially in the return game. They got Marcus Jones back there. He's arguably one of the other best returners in the entire game. Him and Shaheed, I think, are up there themselves. The coverage has to be great. The coverage has been great all year. Jay Harbaugh's done a great job of that all year. So I think that the special teams is kind of even. It's going to be who has to make kicks. I trust Jason Myers more than Borregales. I believe he's a rookie, the rookie kicker. He missed a few kicks last week. It's a blizzard. Don't amount too much to that. But Jason Myers is a guy that's been in the pressure. He's kicked playoff games his whole career. He's kicked game-winning kicks his whole career. I don't think that the moment's going to be too big for him. The punting side of the ball, I mean, Michael Dixon's the best punter in football. His leg, to be able to flip field position and pin the Patriots back deep, is going to be a massive factor. Those are things you can't overlook in a Super Bowl, because one block punt, one block field goal, one missed field goal could lose you the game. I feel great about where the Seahawks special teams is at. So, what's my prediction? I mentioned the factors for both teams. And the thing I just keep going back to is I don't think the Patriots can move the ball on this team. I don't think they can move the ball on this defense. I think Drake May is going to struggle. We saw he has struggled with 3 other very good defenses. This notion that he's going to have more success against the Seahawks defense because they're not as good, I think is ridiculous to me. I think that they have an interception in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if they force a fumble in the backfield. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, I think they have Derek Hall as a big game off the edge, getting to Will Campbell and getting to Drake May. I think that Reek Woolen has an interception in this game. I hope he does. That's my guy on defense. Him and Eamon Warrior, I think that one of those 2 guys is going to have an interception in this game. And Reek is going to make up for the debacle that was last week that almost lost them that game and almost sent them home. I think he makes up for it in a big way. I think he gets an interception in a big spot, whether it's a one-on-one shot down the field. However it is, I think him or Eamon Warrior, I can definitely see a guy like Eamon Warrior coming through the middle of the field, breaking up a ball, catching a tipped pass. And also him being the guy to force a fumble on May coming off the edge, kind of confusing the Patriots' ability to pick up the blitz. I think the Seahawks stifle them. I don't see a world where the Patriots score more than 17 points, quite honestly. And on the offensive side of the ball, I trust Sam Darnold. I have no reason not to after what he's put us through all season long, what he's done, his ability in the last few weeks to win these big games, to show up in these clutch moments. I trust him, and I trust Clint Kubiak the way he's calling these games. He's calling the best game of his career last week. I think he's going to have it up his sleeve again. I wouldn't be surprised to see some trick plays on either side of the ball, but I think Mike has his team ready. They're not going to fall for any eye candy in the backfield. I trust Clint on the offensive side of the ball to not be stupid, to not. That's the thing. The Patriots need trick plays more than the Seahawks in this game. They need the gadget stuff, the kind of fluke stuff, the double pass, whatever it is. They need that. They need a blocked punt type play way more than the Seahawks to win this game. The Seahawks just need to play their brand of football, the way that they've been playing all season long. And I trust the guys in the middle to show up. Bradford's a big physical guy that he has the strength to match up with these guys. Zabel and Sundell, no reason to doubt them. I think the Seahawks put up points in this game. I can see it being close, but quite honestly, I'm not going to just pick a close game because it's the Super Bowl. I think they win this game by 9. I think they win it 26-15, kind of a funky score. And they hoist the Lombardi in Mike Macdonald's second year and kind of start up a new dynasty. I'm gonna pick a Super Bowl MVP. I'm gonna pick Eamon Warrior. I think Nick Eamon Warrior finds a way to win the Super Bowl MVP. I think he gets an interception. I think he has a sack or two, forces a fumble on man in the backfield or in the middle of the field, wherever it is, on a running back. And I think the Seahawks host the Lombardi Trophy. I'm ready for Sunday. I'm nervous. Going to be posting on Instagram all day. Reactions during the game, mid-quarter, mid-drive. Probably going to be blowing it up over there. Follow me on Twitter. I'll be tweeting during the game as well at Collie Diego. And hopefully there's an episode out Monday morning or Tuesday morning celebrating the Super Bowl. So if you guys enjoyed the show, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. It's Super Bowl week, Sunday, 3:30. That's all I can think about. I'll see you guys on Monday or Tuesday to talk about it. Go Hawks. Dun, dun, dun.